After winning the League One title in the 22-23 season with a whopping 101 points, Plymouth Argyle are finally back in the Championship. But the Greens have had a massively eventful season as head coach Schumacher walked out to go to crisis club Stoke City, leaving Argyle just above the drop zone. As well as this, Argyle have never been in the Premier League, never won the FA Cup, never won the League Cup, never competed in Europe, and despite all this, they still have a very loyal fan base who sell at the stadium every week and travel absolutely miles all across the country to support their team. So for that very reason, we are jumping into FC24, taking charge of Plymouth Argyle, and we are going to win them a Champions League trophy. And remember, if you want to see a team rebuilt, the best place to let me know is in the comment section down below. Let's get Plymouth Argyle rebuilt. So this is the Plymouth Argyle team I've ordered into, boys, and I have to say, it does actually look quite good on paper. I'm not a fan of the formation. There's plenty of players out of position. We're going to mess around with the formation now, adjust the personnel, and I'll show you what we come up with. Now, after having a mess around with the team, this is the Plymouth Argyle squad we are going to go into season 1 with. And I have to say, boys, I really like the look of that front three, Mumba, Hardy and Whitaker. I think that's going to cause Championship defences a lot of problems. But looking through the rest of the squad, lads, it does have a bit of a League One feel to it. And we are kind of shafted because in these rebuilds, we always disable the first summer transfer window. So we're stuck with this team until January the 1st at least. Has it got enough to stay in the Championship? I personally think it does. I do think there'll be worse sides than this. There are some very, very good young players in the squad, like Michael Cooper, one of the best young goalkeepers outside the Premier League, Bally Mumba in left wing, Alfie Devine at centre attacking midfield, and Morgan Whitaker, as we know, at right wing. So I'm hoping this squad of players has got enough to keep us at least mid-table till we get to January, then we can add some players to the squad. And when we arrive in January, boys, we definitely need to bring in a new left back to replace Miller, as 64 rated will not cut it in the Championship. When we arrive in January, lads, we'll only have £4 million to improve the squad, so there might have to be 1 or 2 outgoings as well. Now, the tactical vision we're going to go for in this rebuild, boys, I think pretty much answers itself. Mumba and Whitaker are the best 2 players in the squad and they're out wide. So we're going to go with a wing play tactical vision in this rebuild because it clearly gets the best out of our 2 best current players. So we've sorted out the starting 11 and formation, the tactical vision and the finances. There's nothing left to do now, boys, but simulate forward to January the 1st, and I'm hoping to see this Plymouth Argyle team sat mid-table. So we've arrived at January the 1st, boys, and I am so impressed with this Plymouth Argyle side. We currently sit 8th in the Championship, just 5 points off a playoff place. You know, boys, anything can happen in the Championship. We've got 8 goal difference, which is really, really positive. Maybe we could sneak into the playoffs in season 1, which would be an unbelievable achievement. Now, we can finally sign players as it is January, but we only have £3 million to play with. Now, if you're new around here, you might not know, I quite like using the loan system. Loan players in for 2 years, then pay an optional future fee at the end of that loan deal. We are going to look at the loan market, just see who's available on loan first, and then we'll decide what to do with the £3 million after that, because I don't really think with £3 million we're going to bring in a really good quality player, but it is an absolute priority that in this window we get at least a left back in, because in an ideal world we'd improve the right back, centre midfield and left back position, but with that kind of money, not really doable. And if I'm honest, lads, there's not many saleable assets at the club, and the ones that would make me money I actually want to keep. So, lads, I just want to say, let's scrap the loan market, as these are the only defenders available and they're all shocking. So, boys, funds are tight and we definitely need a left back who comes in and makes us better straight away, and we're not going to get one in with the money we've got. We've already established that. But I've just found Gerardo Arteaga on the free agents list. He's a 25-year-old 72 rated left back, high whip rates and really, really good stats for a free agent. I think it'd be an absolute no-brainer to save a bit of cash and bring Arteaga to Plymouth Argyle. And Arteaga is swapping Mexico for Devon as he joins us on a 3-year contract. And lads, it has to be said, with Arteaga on that left side of the squad, how much better does our team look on paper right now? So lads, we've got the main area of the squad now covered that I wanted to improve, which obviously is a left back position. And we do still actually have £3 million available now. I know, and I'm fully aware, that our right back position needs to be improved, but just hear me out a minute. We have got Alfie Devine at the club on loan from Tottenham, who's grown by 3 overalls already. He's 19 years old. He's got 12 goals and 6 assists in 29 games. And I think, lads, I want to bring him to Plymouth on a full-time deal. And then next summer in season 2, we can really prioritise bringing in a proper quality right back. And lads, it's cost us literally everything that we've got, but we have managed to bring Alfie Devine to Plymouth Argyle for 2.3 million, and we are left with just 42 grand in the bank after the signing of Devine. And we have had one outgoing in this window, boys. Brendan Galloway has handed in a transfer request, so we have sold him to CDL Dents for 530 grand. And I'm actually intrigued to hear of Argyle Argyle fans in the comment section down below, would you take Alfred Devine on a permanent deal at home park? Because I do know he had a pretty decent start to the season with Port Vale. Let me know in the comment section down below. So around at January the 1st, boys, no further incomings, no further outgoings. We're now simulating forward to the end of the season, and hopefully Argyle have snuck into them playoffs. And I just want to quickly point out, boys, we won't be stopping at January every single season. We'll only stop in January if there's transfer business taking place. So if we're arrived at the end of season 1, boys, and we actually finished 10th in the championship, getting a top half finish, scoring 71 goals along the way. I'm absolutely delighted we managed to finish in the top half. You know, lads, the marker is there now. With the right additions in the summer, we could easily get in them playoffs next season, and who knows, get into the Premier League for season 3. In the FA Cup, we got to the 5th round, getting beat by Spurs. Would have been a very big ask to ask us to beat Spurs. In the Carabao Cup, though, lads, we couldn't even get out of the first round as we lost to Reading, who were a league below and in financial disarray. That is embarrassing. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season 1, and I have to say, boys, we've had such good growth across the entire team. Whitaker and Mumba are now 76 rated. They are Premier League level wingers in the championship. However, the weak point of the squad is glaringly obvious. Edwards at right back. He's 33-year-old, 65 rated. I think going into season 2, we definitely need a new right back, and I'm thinking, lads, maybe it's time to replace Ryan Hardy. He's 27-year-old, 70 rated. I'm thinking, do we invest in a young, high potential striker now? And by the time we get to the Premier League, they could be 80 rated. Ryan Hardy's probably not going to grow much more at all. But I know how much of a fan favourite Ryan Hardy is, so I promise Plymouth Argyle fans I will not sell him. And in terms of stats, boys, Ryan Hardy was actually our best player, getting 20 goals and 7 assists in 46 games. Morgan Whitaker got 18 and 4, and Alfie Devine just proved why we had to sign him on a permanent deal. 14 goals and 14 assists in 49 games. Incredible return. Mumba chipped in with 11 and 8 as well, boys, and not many contributions from the rest of the squad. So heading into season 2, boys, let's try to get into the playoffs, and who knows, get promoted in season 2. So we've arrived in season 2, boys, and we've got a transfer budget of £9 million, and we can definitely work with this budget, boys. So as we know, boys, the primary target we want to bring in this transfer window is a right back, and we have identified promotion winning right back Cody Drammer. He's got promotions to the Premier League with Luton Town in real life and Leeds United in game. He's 22-year-old, 73 rated, very decent stats, and he's only going to cost us between £4.9 and £3.9 million. I think this is a no-brainer, lads. Let's bring him to home park. And we smashed Plymouth's transfer record to bring Cody Drammer to home park for £3.6 million. So as you know, boys, on this channel we really like to exploit the 2-year loan with an optional future fee. I'm going to show you why right now. We have just loaned in 2 absolute future superstars. The first being David Washington of Chelsea. He's joining us on a 2-year loan. He's 19-year-old, 70 rated. Got some really good attacking stats, including 76 finishing. And boys, in 2 years' time, we can buy him for just £5 million. I imagine Washington will be about 80 rated in 2 years' time. We have loaned in Paulo Bernardo from Benfica for 2 seasons. 72 rated, 22-year-old. Unbelievable stats for championship at 22-year-old, honestly. In 2 years' time, we'll have the option to sign him permanently for £7 million. So my plan is, within the next 2 seasons, we need to be promoted to the Premier League. Then we can sign these 2 players for a combined fee of £13 million. And after the signings of Drammer and loaning in Washington and Bernardo, we're left with £7 million. And I'm thinking, lads, looking at the team, I'm going to use that £7 million to bring in a brand new centre-back. And the centre-back we have identified to bring to home park is Tendon Mengi of Luton Town. 22 years old, 72 rated, and his stats are very good. I think this man would be an amazing pickup for Plymouth Argyle, and it's only going to cost us between £5.6 and £4.5 million, so let's get this deal done. And for £4.45 million, we have brought Tendon Mengi to Plymouth Argyle. We've reached the end of the transfer window, boys, and there have been some outgoings to bring you up to date with. Jordan Horton has left the club for Norwich City for 920 grand. Jack Endicott has joined St Johnstone for 140 grand. Mikel Miller has joined Alanyaspor for 560 grand. Tyreek Wright has joined FC Andorra for 850 grand. Alan Burton has joined Pogon Sechin for 500 grand. Matthew Sorinola has joined Cardiff City for 950 grand. And finally, Ben Wayne will spend the season on loan at FC20. And that's our transfer window finished, boys. Let's now simulate it forward to the end of the season and see if Plymouth Argyle manage to get into the playoff places. So we've arrived at the end of season 2, boys, and you know how I said I wanted to get a playoff place. We've gone one better and got promoted automatically to the Premier League, finishing in 2nd place on 93 points, 6 points clear of 3rd place Sheffield United, and for the first ever time in their history, Plymouth Argyle are playing Premier League football in Season 3. We also had an excellent FA Cup run getting to the 6th round, which is actually the quarterfinals, getting beat by Brighton on penalties. But unfortunately, for the second consecutive season, we've not been able to get out of the first round of the Carabao Cup. And this is the history-making Plymouth Argyle side that has taken us to the Premier League, and it is easy to see why. 281 rated wingers in Mumba and Whitaker, who are our star players. We've had excellent growth from players like Cooper, Drame, Mengi, Bernardo and Divine. The squad looks really, really good on paper, lads. It does need a little bit of an injection in quality, and I'm thinking we're going to need a new centre midfielder to replace Randell. And in terms of stats, lads, our star player was Morgan Whitaker, just like real life, getting 25 goals and 10 assists. Bally Mumba was excellent as well, getting 17 and 12, while Washington chipped in with 14 and 31, so it must mean that Ryan Hardy played a few games. And do you know what, lads? I'm really happy with the amount of goals we scored this season. And we did make a sale on the run up to the end of the season. Callum Wright handed in a transfer request, so we sold him to Alves for £3 million, where it looks like he's smashing it, as he's now 75 rated. So let's get into Season 3, boys, our first season in the Premier League, and let's keep Plymouth Argyle up. We have arrived in Season 3, boys, and our first season in the top flight, and we have got £68 million to improve our squad. And I think the first order of business of this summer is very obvious. Let's make Paulo Bernardo's loan spell into a permanent deal, and he's going to cost us just £7 million at 77 rated. And just like that, boys, Paulo Bernardo is now a permanent resident at Home Park. And you know what, lads? David Washington is 74 rated, 20-year-old. For £5 million, we can make the deal permanent. I think we just do it, boys, and let's get him to the club. And we have also turned David Washington's loan deal into a permanent move for just £5 million. What an absolute steal. So as we know, boys, in this transfer window, a centre midfielder is absolutely priority, and we have identified Pep Matassar of Tottenham Hotspur. He is looking amazing, boys. 22-year-old, 81 rated, high whip rate, 6 foot, really well-rounded stats, and it's only going to cost us between 27 and 34 million pounds. I think this is an absolute no-brainer. Let's try to bring him to Home Park. And for 29 million pounds, we have brought Pape Matassar to Home Park. So after bringing Sarr to the football club and also renewing some contracts, we're left with 18 million pounds. Now, looking at the team, I do think it actually looks quite good, but we are definitely lacking a little bit more quality if we're going to stay up this season. And I do think, lads, solidifying that back line would make us a lot harder to beat, so I am going to be on the lookout for a new centre-back, but I am aware that our hands are currently tied of the money that we've got. And lads, we have had a really, really good scour of the transfer market, and I just can't find someone who's significantly better than Gibson with the money that we've got without selling some of our assets. I really don't want to sell anyone at the minute, boys. I want to keep this squad together going into Season 3, meaning our transfer window now is finished. We're going to save the 18 million for next season. I could use the money and sign a 33-year-old 82 rated centre-back, but by the end of the season they'll be like 78, 77 rated, and Gibson might have even grown to that. So I'm willing to take the risk, boys. Hopefully this squad of players can keep us in the Premier League. So who knows, at the end of the season we could be staying up, we could go down. There's only one way to find out the winter, boys, and that's by simulating forward to the end of the season after we've checked out on the outgoings. And there have been 3 main outgoings in this transfer window. Mustafa Bundu has joined Argentinos Juniors for 1.25 million. Connor Hazard has joined Sheffield United for £1 million, and we've also sold Caleb Roberts to Derby County for 100 grand. And that officially closes our transfer window, boys. All that's left to do now is simulate forward to the end of the season, and hopefully Plymouth Argyle have stayed in the Premier League. We've arrived at the end of Season 3, boys, and do you know what? This Plymouth Argyle side has really surprised me. We finished 10th in the Premier League on 53 points, 22 points clear of the relegation zone, 17 points off a European place, so closer to Europe than we were relegation. And in the FA Cup, boys, we got all the way to the semi-finals, but we bottled it at Wembley once again. If you know anything about Plymouth Argyle, they just do not win at Wembley. They lost in the League 2 playoff final to AFC Wimbledon, I think. Might have been a different team. They lost to my team, Bolton, 4-0 in the Papa John's Trophy final, and now they've lost 3-0 to Aston Villa in the FA Cup semi-final. We really, really need to fix this curse of Plymouth in this rebuild and win them a game at Wembley. And once again, lads, we really did not do well in the Carabao Cup, getting knocked out in the second round by Sheffield United. That needs to get better. And looking at this team, boys, we have had so much growth from so many players this year, and we've got a really, really strong Premier League squad on paper, with our star players being Whitaker, Mumba and Sarr. But players like Drame, Bernardo and Divine have all reached 80 plus rated as well this season, with Mengi 1 overall of 80. But going into Season 4 though, boys, it is obvious where we need to improve the squad. We need a new centre-back to replace Gibson and a new left-back to replace Artega, as they're just not growing at a fast enough rate. And I think if we nail these next 2 signings, boys, we can definitely push on for a Europa League place. Or maybe even whisper it quietly. Champions League place. In terms of stats, lads, Ballymumba was our best player this season, getting 19 goals and 7 assists. Morgan Whittaker chipped in with 16 and 11 as well, and Paulo Bernardo got 8 and 1. But David Washington, I'm a bit disappointed with this guy. He only scored 8 goals and got 3 assists, so because he's growing at a nice rate, as he's grown by 5 overalls this season, we will give him another chance next season, but the goals have got to start coming. So let's get into season 4, boys, push on and try and get into Europe. We've arrived in season 4, boys, and we've got £53 million to improve our squad. So as we know, boys, this season it's imperative we bring in the new centre-back, and we have identified Jared Brantwaite of Tottenham Hotspur. He's 6'5", 81 rated, 5-star weak foot, insane stats for a centre-back. I think this would be the perfect man to bring to home park, and he's only going to cost us between 37 and 29 million pounds, meaning we'll still have a healthy chunk of budget left after the deal. So let's bring him to home park. And for 29 million, we have brought Jared Brantwaite to Argyle. So the signing of Brantwaite, lads, did leave us a little bit short-changed. So we've had to sell 2 players who are going to be replacing. The first being Lewis Gibson, who joins Everton for £9 million. And we've also cashed in on Gerardo Arteaga to Atletico Club for £13.9 million, which now leaves us with £46 million to bring in a left-back. And lads, I have found the perfect all-round left-back to bring to the home park. And his name is Quiladinci Hartmann of Borussia Dortmund, 83 rated, 24-year-old left-back with insanely well-rounded stats, loads of play styles, 6 foot, high attacking work rates, but it is going to cost us a pretty penny to bring him to Plymouth. Hopefully we've got the funds to make the deal happen. And we make our biggest signing today as we spend £38 million to bring Quiladinci Hartmann to home park, and now we are left with just £4 million, meaning our transfer window is finished. And with our transfer window being finished, this will be the Plymouth Argyle team to take us into season 4, and it is looking absolutely stacked on paper. Every single player besides Washington is now over 80 rated, and I really believe this team can achieve something special this season. Let's dream big and try and get into a European place. So that is the end of our transfer window, boys. The only other outgoings have been youth players going out on loan for valuable first team minutes. We are now simulating forward to the end of the season, and can this Plymouth Argyle side sneak into a Champions League, Europa League, Conference League space? Let's just bloody hope they can. So we've arrived at the end of season 4, boys, and we have only gone and pulled it off. We have finished 3rd in the Premier League on 64 points, and we are playing Champions League football in season 5, and we literally beat West Ham United to a Champions League spot by 1 singular point. It was so tight in the top half of the Premier League. From 8th all the way to 3rd, only 4 points separated the sides. Unfortunately, we have snuck into the Champions League places, and next season should be a cracker. And the FA Cup, lads, the 5th round curse struck again as we were beaten by Leicester on penalties. And we did slightly better in the Carabao Cup, getting to the 4th round where we lost on penalties once again to Spurs. And looking at the team, boys, this team is starting to look so good on paper now. Every single player over 80 rated, with Whittaker, Mumba and Sarr still being our best players. Divine's had a great season in terms of growth. Now, going into season 5, it's a bit of a weird one because we definitely need to improve on Bernardo, who's stopped growing. Cooper's stopped growing. Washington's not grown so much, so them 3 do need replacing. However, I am aware that Michael Cooper is a massive fan favourite at Plymouth. At 81 rated and 27-year-old, boys, he's never going to get us to a Champions League final, so I'm thinking maybe a new goalkeeper and centre midfielder is our main priority for season 5. And in terms of stats, David Washington finally started scoring some goals, getting 23 goals and 7 assists. Morgan Whittaker just does what he does, 20 goals, 10 assists. Mumba had a good season, 14 and 8, and Alpha Divine had a great season, getting 13 and 12. So really good output from our attacking players, which is what we love to see. Now let's get into season 5, our first season in the Champions League, and get some world-class players through the door. So we've arrived in season 5, boys, and we've got £140 million to improve our squad. Now with this money, I do think we can improve on the weakest positions in our team, which would be our goalkeeper, our striker. And we was thinking about replacing Bernardo, but he has actually reached 82 rated in this short time from the end of last season to now. So I'm thinking I'm going to bring in another centre-back this time to replace Menga. And with £140 million, the first thing I am doing is looking for players who are out of contract next season, as this massively brings their price down. So we actually kick off our transfer window, boys, with a pretty big outgoing. We have decided to cash in on David Washington, as we have sold him to Bayer Leverkusen for £48.2 million, which is well above his market value. We've also sold Pleguzello to Sheffield United for £2 million. Youngster Freddy Izaka has joined Alanyaspor for 230 grand. This now means we've got £188 million to play with in this transfer window. And the first player we're going to splash the cash on is Darwin Núñez of the team we've we've actually bought Washington Bayer Leverkusen. He's 87 rated, 28-year-old, unbelievable stats, and it's only going to cost us between 69 and 55 million pounds as his contract is expiring next summer. I think this is an absolute no-brainer, lads. Let's bring Darwin Núñez to Home Park. And for just 60 million pounds, we have brought Darwin Núñez to Plymouth Argyle, and that leaves us with 121 million pounds to bring in a centre-back and a goalkeeper. And we are once again going to raid Bayer Leverkusen as we have identified their goalkeeper, Giorgio Marmadishvili. He's 86 rated, 26-year-old, one of the best young goalkeepers in the game, and it's only going to cost us between 68 and 55 million pounds, meaning we can definitely make the deal happen. Let's get him over to Plymouth as well. And for 63 million pounds, we have brought Giorgio Marmadishvili to Plymouth, and that leaves us with 54 million pounds to bring in a centre-back. And the third and final player we have identified to bring to Home Park in this transfer window is centre-back Piero Hincapié of Brentford. He's 25-year-old, 85 rated, really good stats for a centre-back, but he is going to cost us a hell of a lot of money. We don't currently have enough money to bring him in, but we are going to offer up Tendon Mengi as part of the deal. And for 38 million pounds plus Tendon Mengi, we have brought Hincapié to Home Park. And just look at the squad we have assembled now, boys. It is absolutely world class. And after all the incomings, boys, we're left with 7 million pounds, meaning our transfer window is officially closed. And our Champions League group is in, and wow, we have got the group of death. We've got Atletico Madrid, Roma and FC Midtjylland. This is going to be a big task to get through this group, but hopefully with the squad we've got, we've made amazing signings in the summer, we can give a good account of ourselves. And do you know what, lads? I believe in the side. I do think we can get through this group. Let's now simulate forward to the end of the season and see how Plymouth Argyle got on in the Premier League and Champions League. So we've arrived at the end of season 5, boys, and Plymouth Argyle are just going from strength to strength. We finished second in the Premier League on 74 points, just 6 points off tabletop in Manchester City, so no matter what, Champions League football is guaranteed for season 6. And lads, we won Plymouth Argyle's first ever domestic cup, winning the FA Cup. We beat Chelsea 4-0 at Wembley Stadium. The Wembley hoodoo is no more for Plymouth Argyle, and we have got a trophy to go in our trophy cabinet. But once again, lads, really poor in the Carabao Cup. Third round knockout this time by Leeds United. And unfortunately, boys, we did not make the Champions League final. We didn't make the semis. We got all the way to the quarterfinals, which is what I predicted, where we were beaten by PSV. That is a massive missed opportunity to get through. And just look at how good that team is looking on paper. That front four is absolutely frightening. Alfie Devine is now 89 rated. What a signing he turned out to be for just 2.2 million. Now, going into season 6, where do we improve this squad? Well, Cody Dramé is stuck on 82 rated. He's currently injured. He's 26-year-old. He's a good little decent player, but we definitely need a world-class right-back if we're going to get anywhere near a Champions League final. And then, lads, I think I've been holding off from doing it for quite a while, but we could definitely do a bringing in a new centre midfielder to replace Bernardo. He's 26-year-old, 83 rated, would be really good off the bench. But I think we need a world-class centre midfielder to push us towards a Champions League final. And in terms of stats, boys, Darwin Núñez's first season as an Argyle player was absolutely superb, getting 39 goals and 7 assists. This is the striker we've been missing, boys. Morgan Whittaker has carried on his amazing run of goal scoring, 24 goals, 7 assists. Ballymumbra as well, 17 and 7. So let's get into season 6, boys, and I think with the right additions, we can go really far in the Champions League. So we've arrived in season 6, boys, and we have got £204 million to improve our squad. Let's have some fun with this money. And lads, as you know, we're in the market for a central midfielder. Pablo Gavi's contract does expire in 12 months time. His stats are insane. He's 90 rated at 23-year-old with high work rates, and we can get him at a cut price deal of 116 million to 93 million. This is an absolute no-brainer, boys. We'll have so much money left over to bring in a right back. Let's bring Gavi to Plymouth Argyle. And just like that, we have brought Gavi to Home Park for 105 million pounds. And that leaves us with 91 million pounds to bring in a right back. And as we know, boys, we're also in the market for a right back, and we have identified Tino Livramento of Villarreal. He's 85 rated, 25-year-old, insanely well-rounded stats, and he's going to cost us between 50 and 63 million pounds. We can definitely make the deal happen. Let's bring him to Plymouth. And we have brought Tino Livramento to Plymouth for 52.3 million. And with the additions of Livramento and Gavi, lads, just look at the state of that starting 11. It is absolutely stacked to the brim with talent. And our season has got off to the best possible start, lads, as we've beat Man City 4-2 in the Community Shield, meaning that's the second trophy added to the trophy cabinet, and yes, I do count it as a trophy. Well, there's been no outgoings at all in this transfer window, boys. All that's left to do is check our Champions League group, as our transfer window is finished. So our Champions League group is in, boys, and we've got a much kind of group. We've got Atletico Club, RC Lens and BSC Young Boys. We should be breezing this group, boys. Let's simulate forward now to the end of the season and see how we got on in season 6. We've arrived at the end of the season, boys, and in the Premier League we secured a 3rd place finish, slightly regressing on last season, finishing on 78 points, 14 points clear of 4th, and just 5 points behind tabletop in Manchester City, who are just in a league of their own when it comes to winning the Premier League. So regardless of what happens this season, we are playing Champions League football next season. But lads, the FA Cup returned to home park as we went back to back, beating Arsenal 2-1 in the final, and that is another trophy added to Plymouth Argyle's trophy cabinet. And guess what? Guess what? We won the Carabao Cup as well, boys, beating Wolverhampton Wanderers 1-0 in the final, as we make history yet again, winning Plymouth Argyle their first ever League Cup title. So what's better than winning the FA Cup and League Cup, boys? Get into the Champions League final at the second time of asking is what I would say. We are going to take on Atletico Bilbao in the final. In the group stage, we did really well, boys. Lost 2 but won 4. Went through to the round of 16 where we smashed What? We smashed Frankfurt 8-2 over 2 legs. I didn't realise that. Jesus, to set up a tie with Paris Saint-Germain. Come on. We beat PSG 7-2 in the quarter. Oh my God. And then the semi-finals, boys, we beat Manchester United 4-1 to set up a final with Atletico Bilbao. So this is how the team is looking at the end of the season, boys. And now Gavi, Divine and Nunes are all 90 rated or above. Whittaker and Mumba had good seasons as well, going to 89 and 88. The squad just looks so good on paper, boys. And Darwin Nunes, boys, got 50 goals in 63 games. What a signing this man was for us. And all that's left to do, boys, is take on Atletico Bilbao in the Champions League final at the Veltins Arena. So here we go, boys. It's Atletico Bilbao versus Plymouth Argyle. This is a bit of a new one in the Champions League final. I think, if I'm correct, but I could be wrong, if either side wins, it's their first ever Champions League trophy. So need Nunes to make a run, not stand still. That's a foul. Nunes. Oh, what? Mumba. Oh my God. Sarr wins the ball straight back for us, and we're with Mumba on the wing. He's absolutely rapid, by the way. Use that pace on the wing. Nunes back stick. Got to be 1-0. Got to be 1-0. Nope. Oh my God. Are you joking? What a save from Merritt. Wow. Nkape. Oh no. Ooh. Wow. Was expecting the back of the net to ripple them, boys. Wow. A pour from us. Mumba. Nunes. Divine. Oh, that's brilliant. In the back of the net, boys. It's 1-0 to Plymouth Argyle in the Champions League final, and it is our star boy, Alfie Divine, who gives us the lead. And that was a beautiful passage of play, boys. It has to be said. Passing play and the build-up to that goal was outstanding. Divine from the penalty spot, bang, into the top corner. And that is all that we have deserved for this first half, boys. We've been well on top. And Wimmer's miss for Atletico is starting to look majorly significant. Whittaker. What a ball. Shoot. That's the game, boys. I'm going to say that's game over. 45 minutes on the clock. Morgan Whittaker makes it 2-0. 2 players who've come up with us from the Championship. And that is a lovely goal. What a ball out to Whittaker, by the way. Lovely for such a set himself. And he absolutely powers it into the bottom corner. And it is 2-0 to Plymouth Argyle. And we are flying. Oh, what a ball. Nunes. Got to be free. 3-0, boys. It's just too easy. We've just passed the ball through this Atletico team so easily. And honestly, Nunes is not missing from there with the form he's been in this season. And it's 3-0 to Plymouth. The passing play to get him in. Look at this. I don't know what the defender's doing. He comes up to press and leaves a massive gap. Nunes goes into it. Puts it past the keeper and makes it 3-0, boys. Sending that to Kuna. Oh, that's a big miss. That is a big miss. Into Rose's head almost. Then with a shot, and it's an easy save for Mamardishvili. Whipped in by Williams, and it's going to be cleared. Nice. Only first back, I'll log out to him. Oh, what a save by Mamardishvili. That was flying into the top corner. And lads, there's 10 minutes left of this game. I'm going to give some Plymouth Argyle day one some game time. Nunes is coming off for Hardy. We're going to bring Wayne on for Divine. And we're also going to bring Michael Cooper on for Mamardishvili. Changing of the goalkeepers for the last 10 minutes. Let's bring some Argyle day ones in, and some big fan favourites are going to be on the pitch when we inevitably win the trophy. Gavi. Whittaker. Get to the back stick, Hardy. Hardy. No, Ryan Hardy. Oh my God. We've won the Champions League though, boys. Who cares? But I was so desperate to get Ryan Hardy a goal. It doesn't matter though, boys. A 3-0 win in the Champions League final against Atletico Bilbao. And for the first ever time in history, the Champions League trophy is coming to Devon. And not just any part of Devon, the green part of Devon. And it will be club captain Pep Matasar to lift the trophy for the Greens. And for the first time in history, Plymouth Argyle are the champions of Europe. And that is another rebuild successfully boxed off. So I just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video, boys, and a massive thank you for 2,000 subscribers. Remember, if you enjoy the content, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's start the journey now to 3,000 subscribers, and I will see you next week for another rebuild.